Let's go! Damian Shanklin commits to LSU, and like we do with every prospect, at the end, I'm going to give you my absolute favorite play from him. And look, I'm going to tell you what I like, but there is one minor red flag. We'll get to that a little bit later, but I want you to watch this play in the backfield. This is a pulling guard getting de-helmeted by Damian Shanklin. And then on this next rep, a good pass rushing rep, just bending around this edge and making a play as a sack in the backfield. So one thing I really like about him is you do see a wide variety of plays. But before I give you my full scouting report, I want to chat about his recruitment and how he fits in with the grand scheme of LSU's 2025 plan. So the first thing, LSU did a great job recruiting this young man. And look, I understand spring games are overrated in many ways, but when it comes to recruiting, especially now that a lot of spring games happen on the same weekend, Shanklin was at the LSU spring game over some other schools that were really after him. So that is some signal. I was able to interview him as well. I might save the actual interview for the live stream. It was very brief, but the truth is he was very, very impressive, and I've even listened to some other interviews he's done. His football IQ is through the roof when it comes to pass rush technique. As you see in the background, 247 is really high on him as a top 50 overall prospect, but he's in that top 100-ish range. And historically, you take a look at some data. I'm not showing it on the screen, but we've shown it in live streams as well. J. Bud Davis, a very good analytics college football account. There's a lot more weight overall if you're able to land top 120-ish recruits, and Shanklin certainly fits that mold. So give Kevin Peoples and this LSU defensive staff a lot of credit, because this was a tough recruitment, as Shanklin was very open to going anywhere in the country. So good stuff here from LSU and Brian Kelly as they continue to build the trenches. They just got another top 100 recruit as well, Jesse Harold out of Florida. This has just been a wonderful, wonderful few days in recruiting for LSU. Now, what do I like and what do I not like? We'll get back into a few more LSU things. The first thing that stands out to me when I watch him is just like we mentioned a minute ago, there is a little bit of everything when you watch him play. It's not just all one-trick pony. So in the background, you saw a bull rush where he just took a tackle to the ground. You see him squeezing down zone reads when he's unblocked, which is something else that is unbelievably impressive. He's got a really good first step. One thing that does concern me just a little bit is a lot of these plays that he does make are on plays where he's left unblocked, but you also see plays like this one, a very wide split from the tackle. He's still able to close all that space down and still get involved in the running game. This is him in a wide 9 technique right here. Once again, unblocked, able to make the play, but I just love the variety. Now, for me, the one thing that makes Jesse Harold a little bit different as an end prospect is that you do see him in a 2-point stance at times. Damian Shanklin is pretty much on this tape just a 3-point stance guy in every single rep, which essentially means you have one of your hands on the ground, where a 2-point stance is the BJ Ojolari stance where you're just standing up. I do want to include, though, that I do see enough athleticism from Damian Shanklin for me to believe that he can also play in a 2-point stance if Blake Baker asked him to. So I really love the versatility. I mean, honestly, it kind of reminds me just a little bit, and that's him chasing a guy down, the touchdown-saving tackle that we talk a lot about on our live streams. I love seeing variety. I really do. Whit Weeks was like this as well. He wore the same high school jersey number of 4, but on Whit Weeks' tape, you just saw a lot of variety. Now, he literally on Whit Weeks' high school tape, you do see him make every single type of play imaginable. This is a little bit different as just, a defensive end here, but it's just amazing. You see all the different types of plays Shanklin makes. This is versus a double team. He was still able to get some pressure here. I love watching him play. That's a pick six right there in the background with a different angle. One more thing I like about Damian Shanklin is the actual art of defensive line play is something that interests him. So I listened to an interview he did, I believe, with a Michigan website, where he talks about looking up to Von Miller and working on his bend and working on something called a ghost move, which is something Harold Perkins does a whole lot of. And you got to be a really, really good, polished athlete to pull it off. So I like the fact, me as a former pass rusher, that Damian Shanklin loves the art of pass rushing. And that just makes you an overall better player. And it also tells me that he is a guy that doesn't just rely on athleticism. He is a technician, and he wants to be great. And this is just absolutely absurd. A fake punt to a defensive end. He makes a guy miss, and he's able to pick up the first down. I mean, the guy is ridiculous. And there he is in a 2-point right there, making a play. So, once again, that's the only 2-point stance I saw on the whole thing. But it really, really is a fun watch if you are an LSU Tiger fan. So, there is something that does concern me just a little bit. It doesn't necessarily affect Damian individually, but it is an overall arching viewpoint that even Brian Kelly said himself that he is trying to focus in on.
23 of the 27 signees are from Louisiana and Texas, pretty much East Texas. Your view on recruiting areas like that, where do you think guys are more likely to stick it out?
Yeah, I really do believe that there is a loyalty and a sense of growing up and wanting to play for LSU. I really believe that there's that passion. And I think it's not just LSU. I think, when I was in the Midwest, I was at Cincinnati. I mean, that same sense is that they wanted to be a Buckeye, right? They wanted to play for Ohio State. And I think that geographically is in, some the passionate states about football.
Oh, I only have one major concern about Shanklin, but before we get to that, I want to shout out our friends at nooffseason.com and NOPOD Roofing, baby. Sports cards and roofing. You can't really beat that, man. Now, Shanklin is from the North, and while individually it doesn't mean he can play or he can't play, it does bring up an interesting point about northern players at LSU. Really, outside of the state of Michigan and outside of the offensive line position, it's not really been a fruitful endeavor recruiting the North. A few years ago, LSU had a commitment from a guy like Shanklin, a top 125 player by the name of Joshua Mickens. He eventually flipped to Ohio State. And then, of course, this past year, a guy who, once again, had a very similar recruiting ranking as Shanklin is Jackson Howard. He's from Minnesota, and he obviously left after 1 year. And we'll see what Deshaun Womack, who's kind of northern, does in year 2 out of the state of Maryland. So the first thing is, you heard the question there from the reporter, Shea Dixon. 23 of the 27 last signees in the last class were either from Texas or Louisiana. Shanklin makes it to where it's already past that mark. LSU has 5 players committed for 2025, not from Texas or Louisiana, which is fine. One's from Arkansas, which is a bordering state, and others from Mississippi, and obviously Bryce Underwood from Michigan. It's a quarterback. I've said it on live streams. I don't care where a quarterback comes from. You just get them. But really, this is truly outside of LSU's footprint. So they must really think Damian Shanklin can play and fits their system. And historically, the northern guys just don't hit as well as the Louisiana and southern players. But once again, that does not mean Shanklin will not be good. It's just a lot of historical data points to the opposite when it comes to his profile. But if he was from Louisiana, we would be thinking this guy is truly the next great Tyson Jackson here at LSU. I mean, he really pops out to me. Maybe you guys feel a little bit differently, but I really do enjoy watching him play. These last couple of clips are actually from his sophomore tape, and you see him making special teams plays, flying up and down the field. He also competes in, I believe, discus and track and field. I love seeing, multiple sport athletes. This is a guy I really, really do like, and I'm very happy he is a part of LSU, but it does concern me, the geography of it, because, if you're from the north and you're not from Louisiana and, your career starts off rocky, you're less likely to stick it out, right? So we'll see what actually happens with Shanklin, but it is a really, really good day for LSU football. Now, there are some other big positions of need that LSU needs to address on the defensive side of the football in this class. Hopefully, those positions do get addressed, most notably in the secondary, but we shall see what happens. Now, I want to get to some of my favorite Shanklin plays. This actually is one of him from his sophomore tape. I flat out love seeing a guy that's able to just flatly run down the line of scrimmage and play with a whole lot of energy. But I'm actually going to give you a play that we've already shown. We'll do it after this one that really stuck out to me. So it's this spin move right here, and I'm not the biggest spin fan for a lot of different reasons, but this is just really gross right here. And he gets to the quarterback, and I want you to see the result of this play. If he doesn't disrupt the rhythm here, this is an easy completion to a receiver for a tutty. So this guy can flat out play, and I'm really excited to see him at LSU. So comment below your thoughts on today's video, and we'll see you soon. It is Power Hour LSU. Bam! Floating in your face, some fun videos. Click on them, and tonight we are doing enchiladas. Let's go!